Have their man. They are hiring Robert Saleh to be their new head coach, replacing Adam Gase. The news broke just minutes ago.
They loved his energy. They loved his outlook. They loved his perspective. People loved everything about what he would bring to this particular job. They sat down, and from the time they sat down with him, they were enamored with the energy, the spunk, the intelligence that he would bring to that job.
What kept coming back time and time again was how great of a candidate that Coach Saleh was. And so when we talk about our criteria and what we were looking for in a coach, he checked all those boxes. The integrity, the passion, the ability to do that.
As we're sitting here now, we have a lot of opportunity in front of us. 21 picks in the next 2 drafts, including 10 in the first 3 rounds. But with that opportunity, we have to make the most.
The New York Jets select Darrell Revis, cornerback.
Quinnen Williams, nose tackle, Alabama.
The New York Jets select Mekhi Becton, tackle, Louisville.
Marcus May, defensive back, Florida.
Right, so guys, we finally managed to get together to do our little version of a live draft where we're going to select all of the players in the first 4 rounds for all teams. I'll let the arguments commence. So let's start the draft. Hopefully we can get through this without any murders or anything.
So that's a good start. We've got all full control.
Yeah, we are there. So pick 1, we have the Jags. Is there any question?
I think Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Kyle Trask, 100%. Trevor Lawrence. I think it's a no-brainer.
Set, isn't it?
Yeah, I think T. Law's the guarantee there, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah.
Right, so then number 2. Do we agree? Do we disagree? What are we saying about pick 2, guys?
So I think the best way to do this all the way through is for everyone to say the name, and then we'll go from if it's unison or not.
Yep. Right. So, seeing you said it, Otis, you can go first.
So I would select Zach Wilson.
Kane?
Zach Wilson.
Fraser?
Yeah, I think you know where I'm going. Zach, yeah.
See, I mean, I have concerns, but I do believe he is the right pick.
Right.
Am I happy with the pick? No. Will I ever be happy with the pick? No. You could give me anybody, and I'm still going to be a little bit cautious because that's just my nature.
I was about to say, you'll be happy with the pick when he wins the Super Bowl in 3 years' time.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean, once we sign him, I'll be the happiest man on the planet. I will be right behind him. I'll get a jersey, the lot. But at the minute, I'm like, no, don't know.
Don't get a jersey because then he'll be traded.
Right. So then the number 3 pick, the most interesting pick in the draft for me, we've got the 49ers.
So my belief is that the 49ers, with all the rumblings that are coming out at the moment, are going to go Mac Jones.
Kane?
Justin Fields.
Fraser?
Oh, it's a tough one. I also think when it comes down to it, it's going to be Justin Fields.
Right. See, I feel like Mac Jones might be the pick, but that's only because of the rumblings. But
yeah, I've heard a bit like Kyle Shanahan was just saying he's going to be his player, like he controls him in it.
There is an awful lot of talk around Mac Jones, isn't there? And there's a lot of rumbling from San Fran. I was really unsure on how much I believed to start with. And then I took 5 minutes the other day to sort of sit and have a bit of a think about it. And the bit that convinced me that I think this is going to be Mac Jones is the quarterback that he has had the most success with by a long way is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And when I look at Kirk Cousins, I look at Mac Jones and I go, okay, yep, I get it. Doesn't set the world on fire, doesn't necessarily do everything amazingly, isn't necessarily stupidly athletic, but he's a good quarterback and he can get rid of the ball where he's supposed to get rid of it. And I think that fits the Cousins Shanahan mold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking on it as well. Of I think he fits that scheme a little bit better, and it's nothing against Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is an absolutely quality player, and I think he would do equally as well there.
Yeah.
But I
Scheme.
think, yes, it's scheme fit, and I do believe he would do better at another team. I just hate I hate the idea of Justin Fields falling because it's sad because he's a good player. And
See, I've went backwards and forwards on this one, to be honest. I've thought Mark, I've thought Fields, I've thought Lance. I think you're probably right. With the rumblings, it probably will be Mark. But I apart from he's a bit more agile and can move a bit better than Jimmy, I just don't see it as a big enough upgrade or whatever. But I could see it being him at the same time, you know what I mean? But
the biggest thing for me, and the bit that gets it over the line for me, and again, this might be enough to convince you, otherwise it might not be, I don't know. If you look at the quarterbacks that are ready to win now and have proven that they know how to win with good talent around them, Mac Jones is better than Fields.
Yeah, potentially, but then you look at Tua last season and think he had similar, better talent, you know what I mean? It's a tough one.
I just you're saying there, but when you think about it as well, Tua had that year off with injury, which we all
true.
Which is why we were all very much, God, I hope we don't take Tua.
Yeah. It is a tough one.
So we're going to go.
I'm happy to go with Mac Jones simply because of the rumblings and the rumours and that edge it more than Fields.
Okay, well that's fair. That's good. That's a good group decision. Let's go, Mac Jones.
It messes up the rest of my draft
already.
Yeah. After his birthday as well.
There was some spanners, guys.
Yeah. So this is the one that Fraser said a second ago he thought was going to be most exciting.
Yeah.
So
this one is tough as well because Falcons restructured Matt Ryan's contract, and it basically wax in that they've cemented him basically for 2 years more. I think with the way that it's fell so far for us, obviously I had Justin Fields before, so I'm going off the logic that Justin Fields technically has went, because I still don't think they would take Justin Fields Falcons. I think it's either going to be a trade out of spot 4, which I think is going to happen. But for the sake of the draft, and which I could also see Falcons taking if they stayed there, I would go with Trey Lance.
So I also agree. I do not think in this draft with this much quarterback talent that the Falcons pass on getting the next guy after their 36-year-old Matt Ryan, tutors him for a year, maybe 2, and gets the unproven Trey Lance with all that ability to a starting level. I think Trey Lance is, for me, the only pick if they stay there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Ken?
I think he's going to sit for a year behind him. Definitely going to pick Trey Lance.
I agree.
And I can totally see what all of you are saying. I would sit Fields or Lance because I think both of them would benefit.
Yeah.
I think I love Trey Lance. I just wish I'd seen more.
Yeah, me too.
And putting him behind Matt Ryan, like Matt Ryan's a better version of Josh McCown. You know,
Matt Ryan is one of the best decision makers and deliverers of the football in the NFL.
Yeah, he doesn't make mistakes. It's the rest of the team.
Hence the nickname Matty Ice.
He would be the perfect person for Trey Lance, I think.
Yeah.
So I think either way it's going to be a quarterback. I could still see them trading out if they get a good offer. However, I think that if they sit and it's a quarterback, it's going to be Trey Lance out of everybody, because I think he'd be a better player to sit than Fields, I think.
I'm happy with that. And I think for this being our first live draft, I think we kind of avoid doing trades.
We need to avoid that, yeah.
So we're going to go with Trey Lance to the Falcons at 4.
So now this is the pick I said was most exciting, and this is exactly the reason why I said it was most exciting, because I thought this would be the way it goes. So there are 3 options at this pick for me. You take arguably the best guy on the board in swell and protect Joe Burrow and hopefully his reconstructed knee. You give him arguably the most exciting prospect at his position to come out in the last 20 years, or you give him a number 1 wide receiver. Now, I personally think that it's very hard at this point to pass up on Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
See, I have like wide receiver and tackle higher than tight end.
I agree. Yeah. I don't have tight end as a need on my Bengals list. I don't even have it as a need. But when you get to this point and you're thinking, I've already got Tyler Boyd, I've already got Joe Mixon, what Pitts gives you in that offense would be exceptional, and he's arguably the best player in this draft almost.
See, where I was going was I don't have tight end above those 2 positions. However, Kyle Pitts is more than a tight end.
Yeah.
He is an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah.
And it absolutely heartbreaks me that I would send him to the Bengals. And it's Kyle, I still love you, but you're going to Cincy.
What do you think, Fraser?
No, I totally disagree. I've said since Burrow's got injured, I've said it all off season to Bengals fans that I know and other groups that I'm in, and 100% it would be so before anybody, simply because that injury Burrow's got was horrific. He could have had a career-ending injury there. And I just think with how young he is and how much time they've got to build talent around him, I just think they cannot make the mistake of not giving him a blindside tackle to protect him. He's going to go into next season, and I think he's going to be, we don't know what his personality is like, but I think he's going to be petrified of that first game that he steps back on that field. And I just can't see past taking a legit top tackle. I can't see it.
I think to be fair, I think you raise a good one there. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm saying Pitts is a better all-round player.
Yeah.
But I do have offensive tackle as their number 1 need.
So do I.
I just feel like best player available is not the option for a team like the Bengals right now. They're not a win now team. They're not a win now next year team. To become that team, they have to take the protection for Burrows. If he steps out in that field next year and you've got Kyle Pitts and he gets injured first 2 games and he's out the season, it's pointless. That's 2 years of Burrows nothing.
Yeah.
I just feel like they cannot, especially when after Sewell and Slater, the tackles are not legit game changers like what Becton and Wirfs were for the Jets and the Bucs last year.
What's your thoughts, Ken?
At the same time, that there's a lot of tackles in this draft, so you could go 2 and 3 tackle and then still get Kyle Pitts as a weapon.
But there
is no tackle in this draft that is a generational talent for me, whereas Pitts is in that category, and there is a lot of tackles in this draft. And they're going to be picking 5 in round 2. There's going to be a tackle there that you can take that will play left tackle and will be a starter. I don't think you get that at wide receiver or tight end, which they need both.
But then again, I think if they were going to go offensive playmaker weapon, I would see it more being Chase and Pitts, just simply because of the Burrows connection, how close they are. They need that wide receiver, So I think
they have lost wide receivers as well, haven't they?
I don't even know if Pitts would be the top 2 on their board. I really don't. I know that he's better than anybody else available at that point. I just don't think that's what they need. And I personally think it'd be stupid if they took Pitts. And I think it could backfire massively. But yeah, there's loads of options. It's definitely interesting. But
if it's not Pitts, I agree with you that it'll be Chase. I don't think tackle is outside of the top 5 wide receivers, well, probably top 4. there isn't a game-changing wide receiver left. So I don't think if you want a game-changing wide receiver, you have to take it here. If you want a game-changing tight end, you have to take it here because there isn't another one. I think tackles, you can get a serviceable one round 2. So in that case, if you want to rule out Pitts, I would say go with Jamar Chase.
I forgot about that link between Burrows and Chase.
Yeah.
And I think that could come into it.
Yeah, a lot.
The bit that comes into it is the fact they lost AJ Brown, isn't it? AJ Green, sorry.
Yeah. I just think it would be tackle, wide receiver, tight end if they were there. But you never know. You never know.
It's the Bengals as well. I mean, they might take a punter.
Okay, so based on everything we've said, and in order to move this on, I think we all say a one name now, and that's where we go. And I think it's all going to be different a little bit. So let's see what's said. Do you want me to start again?
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
Changed it.
Yeah, you made a good point. I like the connections. Yeah, I like the LSU connection.
Phrase.
Well, you know who I'm going for. I'm going for the tackle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ken.
I say Chase.
Right.
And
Do
you know what, right?
Ant was going to say tackle. Now he's like, oh no, that's split.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both. I think I would like to see Chase because I think coming across the way they've handled their off season as well, the players they've let go.
Yeah.
I do believe that they think they can build the tackle that way. So I'm going to go Chase just to move it on.
Yeah.
But,
okay. That's fine.
Like, we could do this tomorrow and it would be Sewell. We could do it in an hour, it'd be Sewell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just to move it on.
Okay.
Jamar Chase. And, guys, it means that Jamar Chase is not at the Dolphins.
I'm gonna agree that if it's going to be anybody apart from one of the tackles, then I would personally say it'd be Chase more than Pitts. That's
fine.
what I would think.
That's very fair.
So I'm happy with that.
So I'm going to go straight back then and go, there is no way that the Dolphins pass up putting Pitts with Gesicki, and having the best tight end duo in the entire NFL without question.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
The Florida boy stays in Florida for me.
That's going to be hot. As a Jets fan, the idea of playing Gesicki, or whatever you want to call him, Mike, and Pitts is horrible.
Imagine.
It's as bad as tight ends as the duo in New England, that is, if not worse.
So are we, Kane, you in agreement that Pitts is the pick?
Yeah.
I think they could go a few positions, but I think Pitts would be the no-brainer.
If he slides to there, I think you've got to take him.
I think especially with how stacked their roster is right now, they're not like the Bengals. I mean, they could do another tackle, but they're not like the Bengals where they would really need to seriously think about it. They can afford right now to take Pitts.
They got the USC tackle last year, didn't they? He was going to be their left tackle for the foreseeable.
Yeah, we've got to remember though, guys, as well. Tua is a lefty, so right tackles his blind side.
Yeah.
So it can open up a little bit of a debate on who they would take. I mean, that last pick kind of throws it because I have them taking Jamar Chase if Sewell's off.
I had that, yeah.
So I think Sewell, Pitts, and Chase, their futures almost depend on each other on who goes first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think
for me, this pick, it has to be Kyle Pitts because they don't need a tackle. They don't need a quarterback, but they might.
I agree. You can't turn down Pitts in that. The roster's too stacked. They don't need to go other positions. They've got loads of picks over the next few years. They can afford to do that.
Yeah, agreed. It's a brilliant luxury to have, and they're going to have it. That's for sure.
Right, so we've got Kyle Pitts going to Miami at 6.
Yeah. So now the question is, could the Panthers have had Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Because what are the Lions about to do?
They could have, because I've got the Lions taking Waddle.
And now looking at the board that we have, I have them taking Sewell.
Oh.
Because it's a need for them is tackle. And like you put up for the earlier pick phrase, Sewell is a quality tackle.
Oh, yeah,
and they're getting him at a number 7 price when very easily he could have went at 4.
I think for the Lions it would come down to one of the tackles, or Smith or Waddle. It depends what you want more.
So for me, the tackle here is Sewell, whatever you want to call him. And the reason for that is that you've seen for the past 3 years in LA, Jared Goff can throw the ball if he can be a statue in the pocket. And the only way you can do that is to have serious tackles. So that means you take Sewell.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it would be one of the wide receivers or tackle, but I think either it's one of them that I've not got not a preference, but I wouldn't. I think they could go either way. But Sewell, I think if he fell there, would be the no-brainer.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think, Ken?
I was thinking Surtain or Smith. But I'll agree with tackle.
You were thinking wide receiver, were you, Ken?
Yeah.
I mean, I have it down as their big need. Obviously, they've shipped out Golladay.
Yeah.
I think it would be a tackle or a wide receiver, but I think if Sewell falls to them, they need to take him, actually,
The best player available comes in, I think, doesn't it? And you look at it and go...
This raises a good point with Goff needs some serious protection, and the Lions are like a leaky condom. So we all going with tackle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. And at this point, the Panthers are absolutely kicking themselves.
No, I can't go for it anymore.
What was that, Ken?
I forgot they got Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you look at that and go, do they go cornerback? Because the next tackle is Slater, who I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I think they would go tackle.
So
protect Sam.
I'm gonna throw a wrench into the works. I think they might go Jalen Waddle because they've just lost the utility knife that was Curtis Samuel, and that replaces him and gives you a legit wide 3 again.
Potentially, but you can replace Samuel later rounds, can't you?
Potentially, yeah. It's that game breaking Tyreek Hill speed, isn't it? That's the question.
What had we seen with Sam Darnold apart from this year past? I know he had Becton, but he never ever had protection. It'll be on their minds thinking, right, we need to protect this guy. I mean, they've got. I know wide receiver would be a good pick for them, but they have got other targets.
Yeah, I've got OT as their top need, so I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, and I just think I think with McCaffrey coming back as well, adding a top tier tackle will it'll do wonders for the run game as well. I just feel like a tackle would be spot on for them.
Let's go Slater then.
Yeah,
everyone else in agreement?
I can't argue against it. I like Rashawn Slater. I liked him when he was predicted to be like number 4 tackle way back in September.
I think he's got potential to be the best one in the class if he gets the right fit.
Yeah,
he's got better athleticism than Swell, hasn't
he? Yeah.
And I think he's been up against it a little bit more as well. Like Sewell's always been number 1.
Yeah.
As a view. Slater was way back at one point. He's fought to get into that top 10.
Yeah.
Kane, you good with the pick?
Yeah.
Right, we've locked him in.
I think the next one's I think they'll be running this one in.
If it was me in this position, I think you take Justin Fields.
100%. I think they'd run up to that podium with that.
They do have huge need at corner, but I think if Fields falls, as Fraser says, I think you run it there. You literally are running it there.
See, I'm not so sure about corner because they added quite a few, did they not, in free agency? 2 or 3 corners. Did they not trade for one as well?
They did add a couple, yeah.
I'm
not sure not any of them are up to the standard of Surtain, no.
Oh no, I just think Fields would be they couldn't not do it. I don't think.
Yeah, Mile High will be even higher on the fact that Justin Fields has fell to 9.
I just cannot see them passing on him.
I mean, I kind of hoped Locke was going to do well for them, but he's just looked out of his depth, hasn't he? I mean, maybe he comes back and he puts a bit of a fight in, but God,
Imagine Fields with his moving ability, but then when he can throw it, you've got Judy, Cortland Sutton, Fant, the tight end.
Yeah.
Who else was I think there's another wide receiver, I can't remember. But that would be fun to watch.
And I think it makes sense. And I think actually when the guys on the videos here are watching this back, I think all of this so far is feasible. I don't think anything here is a reach. I think Justin Fields again is the correct call here.
Kane, thoughts?
I agree. They need the quarterback, don't they? They do.
Yeah, I think they're one of the only teams in the draft that need a quarterback as much as we do.
Yeah.
Because what they have isn't a quarterback.
No.
So Justin Fields is on his way to Mile High.
So
We've got them boys who are absolutely living it up again, exactly like last year, because they pretty much have their pick again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, for me, they're only going one direction.
Yeah, I agree.
This for me is Surtain.
What was that? Sorry.
This for me is Surtain.
All day. Number one in the back. Biggest need for them, for me. There's not even a discussion in it. That's kind of where they have to go. I can see Kane's just like nodding his head.
Yep.
Yeah. I've had them mocked getting Surtain every single mock that I do. Every single time I see a mock, Surtain every time. I just can't see it not being him if he's there.
I was talking to my Cowboys friend earlier, and he was saying straight away the first thing he said was Surtain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna lock that one in.
I think the only time that may change is if Sewell or Slater fell to them. It could be tempting, but I think it's got to be Surtain.
Yeah.
Can you scroll that other side up as well?
Yeah, you're a little bit low on the left, mate.
Yeah, it's not letting me for some reason.
I have to take it first.
There we go.
That's it. There you go.
So we've got that with the New York team. That with the New York team. So where are we thinking they're going?
So I think they've ended up in a good position here as well. I think they've got the ability to sort themselves out quite nicely. I've got wide receiver and cornerback both down as needs for the Giants.
Yeah.
See, I have edge pretty high up on that list as well.
Yeah, I have edge pretty high up.
So do I, but I don't think there's anyone that's good enough to be picked
No.
11, so you have to trade down if you're doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, running back, tight end, for me, it's got to be wide receiver, doesn't it? But then it's that thing, is it Waddle? Is it Smith?
Who have they got? They've got Galladay. They've got Shepherd. Who's the other one? They've got someone else.
They're the two that are going to be the main players.
Tight end owner.
If it was me, I think I'd go for the game-breaking speed of Waddle. I think
that's what I was thinking.
With what Tyreek Hill has shown in KC, you've already got the big-bodied guy in Golladay, and I'm presuming you're hoping he's going to stay on the field for the change.
But then,
But
then there's one thing I look at this, and I don't think people will be looking at it this way, is the next pick after it. And I think the Giants will know 100% who the Eagles are going to take if they take Waddle. And I think that may worry them. But, yeah, if I had to pick one of the two, I could see it being Waddle being the better fit because they've just signed Galladay. But I think they'll do it knowing that they've just gave another top player to their divisional rivals.
It's a big decision.
I don't think they'll worry about what the Eagles are going to do. I personally think that at this point, I think it's get the guy that's going to give you the chance to win football games. And although I'm in love with what Smith offers in terms of the complete package with the routes and everything else, there is no counter to speed. And Waddle has just absolutely sackfuls of it.
That's what they're missing as well.
Yeah. I'd probably agree with Waddle, to be fair.
So we're sliding Waddle into the Giants. And then the Eagles, I mean, Eagles need cornerback, they need wide receiver, they need tight end, they need safety, they need.
So interestingly, based on exactly what Fraser's been saying, I think the Giants pick does impact the Eagles pick, and I think that impact is actually making them take JC Horn.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one for me. I think they could go either of these two, Smith or Horn, and to be honest, I don't even think they would know what they're going to take until they're on the clock. It's such a tough one. They're crying out for that cornerback, but the luxury of having Smith on their roster, and believe it or not, with the wife being an Eagles fan, I've followed this quite a bit and listened to what their kind of groups and that, and what she's been reading and what she's been saying, and it kind of falls into tow with the same. It comes down to a wide receiver or a cornerback, and they're split as well. They're exactly split. They don't know what they'd prefer. So it's quite a tough one. Personally, I love Horn. I think Horn's got a potential to be number one cornerback. I've said it for months and months and months that he was the guy that I liked more than any. But with Smith there, I just think Smith would be the man. You've got Rieger coming back, second year. So
yeah, I mean, Rieger had one of the worst rookie seasons.
Yeah.
Of a wide, he let you down, really.
I mean, they lost a few people as well. They lost Jeffrey. They lost Deshaun Jackson. I could just see it being Smith.
The only thing I think that is tough with going Smith is it's just another one of those small receivers. And the Eagles have got a history of taking small receivers and absolutely doing nothing with them. I mean, they took Aguilar, had success with him, then decided to play him outside instead of the slot and then let him go, and he's been fine since. They got Rieger, who everyone was going, he's going to be a really nice looking wide receiver, and somehow didn't manage to use him. And I think if you look at what the Giants have got, the Cowboys have got, even Washington, you've got a top wide receiver in Dallas, if not two of them. You've got a top wide receiver at the Giants and a guy with serious speed in Waddle. And you've got Terry McLean, I think he's called, isn't it? In Washington. I think in order to compete in that division, you need a shutdown corner, and I don't think they have one.
But remember, though, Eagles have still got Slay on the roster. I mean, he's not a bad corner. He's not terrible. He's not. He's not number one. I just don't know. It is a tough one. It's a very tough one. If it fell like this,
I like the thought of them taking a corner for a lot of reasons. Even with Slay on there, I mean, then they've got two, and we're a team that don't really have half one at the minute.
Yeah.
So to be in that position where you've got one that you can get by with, but then adding JC Horn, who, like, really, we would love him to fall to 23.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen unless everybody all of a sudden decides that they don't like him. Like, maybe if none of his friends went to his birthday party, it might happen. But for me, JC Horn's the pick.
I think Horn's the pick personally. So Kane and
I'm happy to go, because to be honest, it's going to be a 50-50 if they're in this position. It could go any way, in all honesty. So I mean, I'm happy. I like Horn, so I'm happy to say Horn if it tips it over.
Does that work with you, Ken?
The way I'm looking at it is there's less cornerbacks that are top worthy, and there's a lot more wide receivers.
Very, very good point.
Great view.
Yeah.
Right, Horn's
voice of reason. Who knew?
So then we've got the Chargers, who are on the hunt for almost as much as everybody else. They need a tackle, they need edge, they need safety, they need cornerbacks.
I think tackle.
Against the wide receiver.
I think they go offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
I think, I think so as well.
It's good value here as well.
Going elsewhere.
I think they go Brickshaw. I think that's how you say his name, isn't it, guys?
Who's sorry?
Christian Darrisaw?
Darrisaw,
sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they got their centre, didn't they? You've got your young quarterback, as as Fraser mentioned, we didn't develop Sam because we didn't give him a line. The Bengals have got an issue with line with Burrow, which they're trying to fix. You know, I think the sensible choice here is to protect your guy. You've already seen he can sling it.
I think if they didn't re-sign Keenan Allen, then it would have been Devonta Smith. But I think they're going to protect Herbert. Look how good he was. And then you're adding someone like Darius Shaw protecting him. It's just, it's a good position.
I think that's a lock pick, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd think so, yeah.
Right, so now we're moving on to the Vikings.
We're doing well here, boys. We're getting through this.
No, doing good.
The Vikings, for me, are a bit of a dodgy team. They seem to take people that you don't expect every year that works out for them.
So, interestingly, I think the Vikings' biggest need is someone to get after Aaron Rodgers. So I think I'd be reaching for your favourite edge player here. Whoever they feel is their best edge player, that's who I'd take.
I've said this for a while. I think the way that the board's going now and the way that people are talking, I think your first edge player off the board is going to be Pye. I really, really do. I don't think Rosie, or however you pronounce it, I don't think he's going to be the first one off the board.
So I've got one player. I'm more than happy to consider Pye there from Michigan. There's one player that I would like to add, and that's Jalen Phillips from Miami.
He's flying up the boards. He is flying up the boards.
For me, he's the most talented edge rusher in the entire draft. If he hadn't got the durability concerns, I think you're talking about him going top 10 and everyone going, oh my God, it's the next Chase Young, is it? That's in Washington now. Yeah. He is an absolute monster when he's on the field. And I think the Vikings have the luxury of having a good football team and saying, you know what, let's take the guy that we think is going to be exciting. And I think that's the guy. I'll let you discuss now. I chucked that grenade in there.
I still think it would be Pye. I still think he's the number one edge on the board. But I agree, Phillips is going to go a lot higher than what people expect. And I think Rosie is going to drop quite a bit. But yeah, I just can't see past Pye.
Yeah, I think that's going to draw him in as well. I mean, he's played in Michigan.
Yeah.
The other side of the lake, so he's used to the weather. They're going to look at that and go, well, actually, that is a bonus.
Remember, the weather means absolutely nothing because they play in a dome.
Did they?
Play Green Bay, though.
Yeah, it's that area.
Sorry, mate.
No, absolutely. I'm totally mixing it up with a different stadium in the fact that what we've got, is it Bank of America and MT Bank?
Yeah.
One's not a dome, one is a dome. But I think I think they'll stick within Michigan side. I don't think Phillips will do enough to change anybody's mind. He's flying up boards, but as we know, like even doing this, it's a board. It's people's opinions that don't really count.
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy. I'm huge on Quitty as well. I think he's a hell of a player. I'd love the days of when they thought he was going to slide all the way down to us to be true, because I'd take him and chuck him straight in that left end spot and just go nuts. Let's rush everyone. So yeah, by all means, take him there.
Right, let's put P in then, and then we'll move on to.
It's another one of their positions that it could be anything. It's one.
They
of
have
these
the luxury of that as well.
It's one of these spots that you look at every year and somebody makes a pick and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
They have the talent as well on that football team that it doesn't actually matter who they take. Yeah. Really, if we're entirely honest, they shouldn't have been picking 14. They should have been picking a lot later, and it's just down to quarterback play, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right, then we've got the Dark Lord himself.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I think it's a linebacker.
He loves a good linebacker, does the old Sith, doesn't he?
And he suits exactly what he does as well. He's got that ability to cover, tackle, rush. There isn't, like, if a running back comes up through the hole, he's not missing. And if you tell him to go for the quarterback, he's getting there. He's an absolute freak.
Right, so I think we're all agreed it's Parsons. I'm not liking the way we're playing this year, guys.
No, I don't want to play him either, but it's who it's going to be.
Yeah,
And at this point, I think
Cardinals.
At this point, I think you've got exactly what Fraser said before with the Broncos. I think you've got the Cardinals running, and I mean running to the podium, because I think they take Devontae Smith.
Can you imagine that offense? Oh my God.
Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Devontae Smith. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Kyler Murray all of a sudden becomes legit.
Yeah. And I think that's feasible. And the bit that makes it more worrying is that I think there's a chance that if the Giants prefer Smith, you could see Waddle in this spot. And I would hate to see that speed with DeAndre Hopkins' size, because it would just give them thunder and lightning. It'd be horrid.
Yeah.
Right. So we're hitting Smith out.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously Auckland are going to take somebody from
third round
school.
Talent.
Yeah. I mean, we all know it likes to cause a bit of a stir. Pick somebody that nobody's ever heard of. But in my one, I think he's got to go Kamara here.
So I absolutely, I completely agree with him taking Kamara, or whatever you want to call him. They signed Yannick, so they don't need the edge pressure anymore. They've got Max Crosby there already, and they've got Gus Bradley now, who run the Seahawks defense. And he loved KJ Wright. He can run sideline to sideline. He can tackle with the best of them. I think this guy is an easy choice for me.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
Unfortunately, because I'd love to fall to us.
Somebody else anyway. It doesn't matter who you pick.
No.
Right, then we've got the fish on the board again.
They're going to go Najee, aren't they?
Yeah. But they're going to go. I've said it. I've said this since the draft.
They're going to go with who?
Najee Harris.
What?
Yeah, I reckon they're going to go running back. I've said it for a long time.
I think the guy we talked about for the Vikings goes here. They've got a stacked offense. They can afford to take the guy with durability concerns that's going to kill the quarterbacks. I think Jalen Phillips goes here.
Oh, Jalen.
They haven't got a great edge rusher, and they have luxury to take this pick. I think you could feasibly see them say, we think he's the best. He slid all the way to 18. Let's see him kill some people in the NFC East. Remember, you've got to contain Josh Allen. You've got to contain potentially Zach Wilson, who we've all been saying can move. Cam Newton's at the Patriots. Edge rush is going to be key in our division. Sorry, because that's throwing a spanner in the works.
Could you imagine, though, they've added Pitts. Could you imagine adding a running back into that offense as well?
I don't think they need to this early. The running backs aren't generational talents. There's not one of those that's going to break the world ever, I don't think. I agree if you'd got a CMC or someone like that in this draft, I get the pick, but I don't think they can turn down getting themselves a proper edge player.
I mean, feeling both ways. Looking at the way the Dolphins have done it, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take an edge and then probably trade back in and take somebody else.
There's a good chance there's still going to be, like, we've been talking about it for ourselves. We've talked about Carter. We've talked about some of these running backs that are going to be there in the third and fourth that can start. Miami have got the time and the luxury to take one of those guys if they want to. And remember, they've got bags full of picks for next year too. If they want a superstar running back, they've got next year.
Yeah, I don't see it as such a gaping need as what.
Nor me. Not with the value that a running back holds anymore. They're not important. Not in today's NFL. Not like they used to be.
So what we saying? I know you're saying Phillips. Phrase, what you saying?
Well, I'd have went one of the running backs. I don't know what one, but I can see the points for edge. whether that's Phillips or whether it's Owuhu or whatever he's called. It's another one like the other team I said. I can't remember who it was.
Remember that.
Anyway.
So remember, Miles Gaskin played running back for him last year and had a breakout year. Miles Gaskin last year was good.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'll wait and see what everybody else says.
If you can go first.
You what, sorry, Ken?
Can see. I want to see what Amp says.
You pair of big
I
wusses.
just don't want to make a decision now. I'm kind of moving towards that same mentality of what Otis is saying. I can see them going edge because there isn't really much other option against the other QBs in the division.
Well, to give you so let's. Christian Wilkins is their left defensive end, and Raquan Davis is their right defensive end. So it's not exactly like they've got a household name at D end. That would be the one thing I would say.
I do agree.
Yeah, I agree with Edge. I just don't know who it would be.
Yeah,
to be honest, because there is 2 or 3 good ones there. I get the whole Phillips thing, and even if we were to take him at 23, I'd be stoked about it. But I just, it's a hard one, that one.
I think. Oh yeah, let's see. What does everyone else think then? So are we saying Phillips or what are we thinking?
Well, I'm happy to go Phillips. Like you say, he's rising up. He's Florida as well, isn't he? So they will have had chance to scout a little bit better. I'm right in thinking that, right?
We'll go with Phillips. We'll go with Phillips. I'm happy to go with Phillips.
Okay.
Right, so then we're jumping on to Washington at 19.
Just saw tempers really starting to boil up. That big decision went against them, and Spurs then.
So for Washington, I've got needs of quarterback, wide receiver, and offensive tackle. And I think, for me, I think they'd be very tempted by the guy from USC.
Vera Tucker.
That's the one.
The guard.
Yeah.
He plays both, doesn't
he? He can play both, yeah, and he can do both well. He could play right tackle or guard.
Yeah, I'd probably say they're going to go on the line. I'd probably say, looking at, where's Ant gone? To check out who's left.
He'll be back in a sec. He has just had to nip away. Here he is. Ant, could you just show us who's available on offensive line, please?
Yep, no worries.
Don't get me wrong, if
we've got tackles.
No, go on to all again. I think he come up then. There you go. Yeah. So I think I'd be going, Vera Tucker.
Yeah, I'd be devastated at this because this is who I want to fall to 23, but
I can't see with that versatility and talent in full. I agree, mate. If he was there, that would be a run up to the podium job, but he's just too talented.
He's the best guard available in the whole draft, easily.
Yeah, and he's got the versatility to play right tackle, which you can't sniff at either. Like the reason the Cowboys' offensive line was so good 2 or 3 years ago is they had players that could play guard, tackle, center, and it didn't matter which one was injured or moved or shifted. They could all do everything. It was nutty, wasn't it? So I agree. I think Vera Tucker makes a lot of sense. What do you think, Anne?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I can see O-line being the pick. Do I think it will be the pick? Maybe not. I honestly do believe that they could go Harris because they've had nothing but bad luck with running backs over the last 4 years. But I do believe O-line should be the pick and probably will be, but at the same time it's Washington and I could see them throwing a spanner. So I'm happy to go Tucker. Again, I'd be upset as well because I would like to see him drop, but yeah, it's got to be.
We're being very sensible here, guys. I think there isn't a single spot where we've done something that's completely ridiculous just because we don't want him to go. I think it's all been very sensible.
Really unhappy
23 still to come up.
Yeah, there's going to be an argument over 23, isn't there?
I don't think, actually, looking at the teams left now and what's available, I don't think there's going to be.
No, I think we're all just going to go, yeah, we're happy.
I think looking at what's there now, I think there's going to be a few players, and it's going to easily come down to what we want.
Yeah. So,
right, so Tucker going in.
Yes, please.
Washington. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kane.
Yep.
First.
Yeah.
Right. So then we got the Bears. The Bears.
Now I think they're going to do the same. They're going to put an O-lineman, and I think it's going to be Tevin Jenkins.
Is he a guard by any chance?
I think he's a tackle, but can play both.
Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle, Oklahoma State.
So for the Bears, I've got the entire offensive line as need, and wide receiver and cornerback, and they've essentially got a pick of everything here because they could take Greg Newsome, who is easily a good pick here because they just lost Kyle Fuller. Now I'm not very happy about that because I want Newsome. They could also take the guy from Virginia Tech because we haven't taken him off the board yet, Farley.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think offensive line is a place they could go. I'm not sure if guard might be the pick, though. One of the really high-end guards. I think is there a better guard available at the moment? I can't think of who we've taken. I'm a bit out of track.
I think between that, you've got Wyatt Davis, but I think it's a slight drop from Vera Tucker. I mean, there's no denying Davis is very good, but he falls somewhere in between elite and the next block, the block after. So it's a bit. I just think Jenkins, he's a stud at tackle, absolute stud.
Yeah.
And I think wide receiver to me would have been, if Allen Robinson was gone, they'd have been wide receiver all day. Probably somebody like Tony or somebody like that. But I just think with him still there and still having another year to get a contract done, I just think tackle.
So I agree with tackle. I'm not disagreeing at all. I say their offensive line's in desperate. What about Cosme from Texas?
Yeah, they could. I'm looking at it from a personal point of who I prefer out of the two, not as what they would feel is a better leader fit for them. I mean, obviously we don't know what the talks are like, how their scouts are looking at it, but from my personal view, looking at ability, I would have Jenkins ahead of Cosme.
Okay. In
my rank, and that's the only reason that I would say him. But it wouldn't surprise me if they went Cosme as well, or instead anyway. But
just to make things a bit easier, I think whichever one doesn't go here goes next. So it's no issue to me because they're both going.
I like the argument for Jenkins over. I think Cosme from Texas, that suits the Indy style a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's where if you go Jenkins here, I think Cosme goes next. So I'm happy to go Jenkins.
I think
where are you sitting on it?
Me, sorry.
Yeah, where are you sitting on it?
I'm thinking cornerback, to be honest.
Are you really?
Regularly.
I think there's one way to look at this pick here as well. And we say this every year. There's always a team who picks someone you do not expect. And I'm going to throw one out there, and you can just see it at the bottom of your screen there. Someone who's not as far up the draft board what they should be, but they could easily go here, and that's Walker Little, the tackle. Now, if you scroll down and go to Walker Little, just click on him, on his description. He's an absolute beast. So he is. He's one of these guys that could go a lot earlier than what people think.
That's a big reach for me based on the other tackles that are available. I agree, he is a good player, and had he had the film from last year, I think you bang on. I think he would be higher up. Sitting out last year.
Yeah, I do think it'll be Jenkins. I'm just throwing out a
no, I agree. Yeah.
Someone that could go higher than what you think, but I think Jenkins, out of all of them that's left, it would be the one that I would go for.
I'm just on Kayan's point about corner. I don't necessarily disagree. I think they need a corner, and I have had Newsome going here in the past, or the guy from Virginia Tech. The one thing I would say is they did sign Desmond Trufant
Yeah.
who has been able to operate at a very good level at cornerback, which I think then opens up offensive tackle a little bit more for me. So I would probably swing towards Jenkins
I'll
and
agree with
offensive
that.
tackle.
I will agree.
Right, so we're going to slide.
Anthony, you fairly happy with that? Because you look like you're not.
On the agreeance. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, so then Indy.
I believe it will be Samuel Cosme in this situation. I think they need an offensive tackle.
See,
I think this is similar to the Bears.
What was that? Sorry, Fraser.
I think this situation with the Colts is very similar to the Bears. I could see a cornerback or an O-line here.
Yeah, they need a long cornerback.
Yeah, see, I like Cosme. I think he's got a lot of potential.
And
I
I
think
do.
he fits with what Indy do. I think he plays that style of football.
He's nasty. He'll be good next to what's his face, their guard. That's amazing.
Yeah, I can't look past him if I'm being honest. I'm struggling.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We slide you in. Right, Titans. I think they're taking a running back. There's his crap.
Now they're trading him to. I heard they're trading pick 22 and Derrick Henry for pick 23, and that's it. We're getting a massive deal here. They just don't want him. They just don't want him anymore. They don't want him, and they don't want to be at 22. They don't like the number. So
I believe we're gonna get fucking picked off, and they're gonna pick Greg Hill.
They're gonna pick who?
Greg.
Who?
Greg Newsome.
So I agree. I think they're going to go cornerback. And at this point, it's whether you think the guy from Virginia Tech is better than Newsome, because either way, we're getting one of them and we're taking him.
Yeah.
But which one?
I think Farley. I think for what the reports coming out saying there's no concerns, I think he would be the no-brainer. Bear in mind, Farley would be a top 10 pick in most drafts.
Yeah. For me, I agree. If health wasn't an issue leading up to this, Farley would be a lot higher ranked. And I think now that they've medically cleared him, I would be more than happy with Farley going here or Farley going to us. So I don't mind either way. Personally, I think Farley is better than Newsome, which means it would be Farley here.
I agree.
Yeah.
Newsome's more all round, but I think Farley's the better man player, which is what they need. Do we all agree it's cornerback?
Yeah.
Okay,
Farley's
so
the
I would say it's Farley, and then I don't think it's a conversation here for the Jets. I think this gives you Greg Newsome.
I think what it comes down to here is the fact that Vera Tucker's gone. I think, and the fact that Vera Tucker's gone and the three other cornerbacks are gone, I think it's got to be.
The other bit I think that makes this a very sensible pick is that you can look at needs, and this is pretty damn high up on our needs. But also, if you break this board down now into best player available, taking a running back does not make sense to us. Taking a DT when you've just signed Rankins and you've got Q makes no sense to us. And I don't see Azizi as a defensive end option. I see him as an outside linebacker, which means you can't pick him. So even on best player available, you have to take Greg Newsome.
I think here the way Jets would look at it would be the offensive line, Greg Newsome, and the only other person that I could see being in a conversation here would be considering the two top linebackers have gone, the only other ones, I'd say Bateman, but I don't think it will be, and one of the edges, probably Rossio, but I don't think they're as big a need as cornerback, so I think it would be a no-brainer. It would be cornerback out of them all, I think.
I think Newsome's the better player than the edge.
I mean, when we did the chat about the depth chart, I think I made my point quite clear. Cornerback, if it's there and it's the person we want, and looking at what's available, there isn't anybody else at this point that I'm like, we'd be crazy to pass Newsome up because he's not going to be there in the 30s.
Yeah, I agree.
Tim?
Yeah, I agree.
Right then. So Steelers at 24, guys.
They, for me, take the edge presence to replace Bud Dupree because they've just lost 18 sacks and TJ Watt's running mate.
See, I
I have them looking at offensive line.
I have them looking at both interior and the offensive tackle.
Yeah, I think offensive line has got absolutely obliterated. I think what they've got in their defense is enough to carry them. I know they've lost a lot in Bud Dupree there, but I just feel like that offensive line has just been decimated.
So I agree. I have the whole offensive line as a need, as I think we probably all do. My concern is that when you look at this big board, in order to take an offensive lineman here, you are reaching into the depths of insanity to find one that's as good as any of the players that are left at the top of that board.
I agree, but at the same time, I don't think they can wait until late second round to get that guy. I'm going to throw one out here that to me would be a massive, not a massive shock, but someone that would be very, very highly rated in normal circumstances. And I just feel like he's a perfect fit for this team. And I'm going to throw it out there because you're probably going to all go like, what? I'm going to go with Landon Dickerson.
So the Alabama product.
Yeah.
If I was going to reach for any of them, that would be the one I would reach for if I was the Steelers.
I just feel he's a better, just what he brings and how he is just better for them over Humphreys.
What was that, Ken? You don't agree?
No, I got the wrong person. I was thinking of someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think Dickerson, I think the injury, if it wasn't for his injury, I think he would have been talked about now as easily mid-first round. I feel he's an absolute, he's a beast. I just think that's perfect for them because even when they lose Big Ben, you've got your centre for the next however many years set. You know what I mean? That's one thing that the Steelers have always had as well, is a good centre. I could just, yeah.
The only other position that I would talk about, and this is going to potentially throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, I don't know what you'd think, is they have lost an awful lot of talent at running back, which is the Steelers' identity. When you think Pittsburgh Steelers, you think running that ball, and an Alabama running back that is sat there pretty high up on the board would give them that identity back and would take the pressure off Big Ben, because the question is, if you haven't got a running back that can take the workload off him, he ain't playing the full season for me.
I agree. But then you've got the debate of how is he going to create? How are they going to create time for him when the line is just destroyed?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's just I'm not sure.
This is one of them picks that whichever way we go or they go, there's going to be that argument.
Yeah. I agree.
Harris is looking really attractive now because, it's that thing of the Steelers' defense, like you said, Fraser, it'll survive losing to Bud Dupree.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
A little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I can see running back being the pick.
The bit with me is the fact that it's the Steelers' identity. They're a bit like the Jets in some respects. You think Steelers football, you think smash them in the face, ground and pound, nasty football. And I think Harris fits that mold. And their only running back at the moment that's actually played in the NFL pretty well is Benny Snell. And you saw last season, he's not good enough to be a starting running back.
Yeah, Harris is next level for that. I mean, Harris or Etienne, but I think Harris is more that style. He's like...
He fits the Steelers mold, doesn't he?
More of a bruiser.
Yeah, he also can catch the ball, to be fair. Like, let's not downplay Harris's talent. He can catch the ball, but yeah, I agree. He's that more physical, violent runner, isn't he?
Yep.
So I would make the case for Harris, but I get the offensive lineman case from Fraser as well.
So are we happy to go running back?
I am. That's what I would have picked.
Well, yeah, if you're happy with that, we'll go running back. I mean, bearing in mind that my Dickerson was
Is it 8?
It's not a reach, but considering the situation, it's a bit of a reach. It's weird. It's hard to explain, but yeah, I can get the whole Harris thing, definitely.
Well, we'll jump it in. I mean, like I say, I can see O-line, but I just feel like the Steelers they're desperate to get back to Steeler football. So we'll slide Harris in, guys.
This has all been very diplomatic, guys, and we've talked through all these points very well. This is very good.
Yeah, I mean, we could have killed each other by now. But then now we're going back to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 25 with a shiny quarterback.
I think these guys replace what they lost in Yannick, and they get their edge rusher. And I think they take the guy from Miami, Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a first round talent, and yeah, I'd say he would be gone. If he's not gone before now, he's got to be going soon. So I could see them taking him. Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with him taking edge. If I'm being totally honest, this pick doesn't excite me. Don't really mind it because it's going either way. So, like, when you look at a board and you get to that point where you're like, I've never looked at this pick because it has nothing to do with anything I've ever looked at before.
Yeah,
this is this pick.
he gives them a very, very good edge pressure guy, and it's something they haven't got masses of. I think it's a good need and talent available pick for me.
Yeah, Kane, where you at?
I'll agree. Who did they lose? Who did they lose at edge?
What was that? Sorry.
Who did they lose at edge?
They lost Yannick last season, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yannick and Koué. This is where this pick's come from, isn't it? Is Yannick's trade?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they well, they got a top 25 pick.
They've got Trevor Lawrence, though, don't they? They need to help him, maybe.
I mean, the line's not terrible.
No, I don't think the line's bad, to be fair.
I mean, they could maybe do with a tackle, but like we said on the last pick, if we look at tackle.
Everything else, I think, at this point is a reach. The only player I'd go otherwise, I think, is I'd consider giving Lawrence Bateman.
That's what I was going to say.
But I don't, for me, I think edge for the Jacksonville Jags is more important at the moment. I'm just going to have a look at their depth chart, just in case I'm missing something that I shouldn't be.
I mean, I can see.
We've got Josh Allen and we've got.
I can see 3 players on that edge list that could all go there and do well. That's the worst part of it. I mean,
so if you look at wide receiver, actually, okay, it's quite a good point now if you talk about wide receiver. So DJ Clark Jr., who's got talent. You took Marvin Jones, they've just signed from the Lions, who's a great possession receiver. And they've also got Chenault Jr. and they've got Philip Dorsett as a deep threat. I think given the depth that they have and some of the people they have at wide receiver, I think edge makes more sense to me.
However, go to offense and click on wide receiver.
Yeah.
Look at these wide receivers you've got there, right? You've got Amon St. Brown, you've got 2 more, you've got Tony, you've got Marshall. Yeah. Bear in mind, the Jags are picking again in 8 selections.
Yeah.
So if you look at that wide receiver board that's available right now,
they'll have one there.
You're getting one of them. Edge, there's probably going to be a few edges going very, very soon in this draft.
I've got the Browns down as needing one. If Rosenshue is there, I think they could take him and pair him with Myles Garrett.
Who's the D tackle that's left on the board?
It's the guy from Alabama, isn't it?
Barmore, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
Barmore.
I mean, that would help.
I mean, you've got to think.
I know where he's going.
He's a big slider at the moment.
He's going very soon. You just need to look at one of these teams coming up. And
to me, he strikes me as a Ravens player.
Oh, do you think? I've got him somewhere else.
Yeah, I think I'd have him going somewhere else as well.
You're thinking the same as me then.
The other place he goes for me, if he's still on the board, is he goes to the Saints to replace the fact you just lost Rankins and then Henderson. But I'm not sure that the Ravens will pass on him. It's the type of player they like, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got him at the Saints, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Sorry, yeah. So let's go for Gregory, Ross, and Sue. I think we're all in fairly good agreement for, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let me just find him again now.
That's fine.
So Greg's going into the Jags.
This is brilliant, guys. I'm enjoying this.
I mean, I can see them going edge as well, to be honest.
Browns.
Yeah, but then that wide receiver class is still there and they're not picking for a while. So
I think if I was the Browns here, I'd be considering looking at linebacker as well.
Well, that's who I've got. I've got them going Xavier Collins.
So I've got someone above him, and you might disagree. I've got Jamin Davis.
I could see either. I've just went with Collins because I know a bit more about him than what I do Davis. That's my whole thing in that. I mean, Davis didn't come into my top 3-4 area until a lot more recently than Collins. Collins has been up there for a long time. That's the only reason that I have him ahead of Davis. But I could see the fight for either of them, to be honest.
I think.
Where you at on, Kane?
I think edge, and probably Aziz.
Oh, that's a. So I completely agree. I had them looking at edge to replace to go again opposite Myles Garrett and create a two-headed monster on the edge. Yeah, but I don't. So I'll be honest. I don't know a huge amount about this guy. Georgia aren't a team I like to watch very often, and I don't know huge amounts about him.
It's Uliari, guys. Aziz Uliari.
Yeah. See, I would have, if they were going edge, I would have it as Jason Awu before them, the other two.
What we're saying.
I still think it would be linebacker. I really do.
See,
There's only been 2 linebackers gone so far, and Collins, for what I've seen and what I've read, is an absolute stud.
The comparison with Collins and with the guy I said, Jamin Davis, to give you an idea, it depends which you think they want. Jamin Davis is more of a speed, lighter linebacker. He's 234 pounds. Jamin Davis is 260 and is coming downhill to kill your running back. He isn't a coverage guy. He's a blitzing guy.
Which would make sense in a way if they're looking at getting another top edge in and they want to be blitzing a lot.
The other thing that makes sense with it, in my opinion, is that they have good corners in like Ward and people like that. Yeah. I can see them taking Collins, but for me, that's the reason why Collins is below Davis, because Davis offers that still, but he's a lot lighter and can cover, whereas Collins, like if pick 34 was coming up and this was us talking about it, I wouldn't go near Collins because he's too one-dimensional.
Right.
For me, but it's very difficult. He's a great run and hit linebacker. He is brilliant.
I have linebacker down as their 5th need.
Oof, 5th?
Yeah, I've
really?
got edge. I've got edge, wide receiver, cornerback, and interior defensive line ahead of him.
So I've got edge, linebacker, cornerback, wide receiver, DT.
I just don't have wide receiver up in the top 2 or 3 needs for them. They've got Odell, they've got Landry. This wide receiver, this is stacked. They're going to get somebody else in another round.
Oh, no, I don't have them taking a wide receiver now. I've just got it ahead of linebacker, if I'm being honest. I'm not saying a wide receiver now. I have them taking edge.
Yeah, see, I think it's only in the first round, it's got to be edge or linebacker. And I just feel linebackers.
In order to put it in a bit of context behind this, then I suppose, guys, they don't have anyone to back up their strong side linebacker at the moment in their 4-3. So linebacker does make sense because of the fact that they can do that. But for me, if you're going to take a 4-3 linebacker, it's Jamin Davis, not Collins, because Collins is more of the run guy. Jamin Davis can cover, which I think more suits their scheme personally.
Yeah, I think it will be a linebacker. Again, I don't know enough about the Browns to know exactly what one they'd want to go with there. And as I said, I don't know as much about Davis as what I do Collins. So
that's fair.
It's a tough one. I think it could be either of them, to be honest.
Given that they don't have a backup, I'm happy to go with either.
Who did you say, Kane? You said edge.
Yeah, but I can see the argument when looking at the linebackers.
But I can also see the argument for an end, especially when supposedly the 17th best player in the draft is sat there.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're saying I've got edge actually above linebacker as a need.
Same.
But yeah, I mean,
how
the 17th best player in the draft, but all of us have looked at other edge players ahead of him for higher up. So maybe we're not actually as high on Aziz Al-Arari as...
I'm not. I have a Wahoo. I'm not sure about the Texas one, but that I can never pronounce his name. Jason. I'll just say Jason. I have Jason, the top edge available out of the 3 or 4 guys sitting there.
Yeah, I have on the mock I did the other day in preparation for this. One of the guys I was considering for Baltimore was actually Jason Away, or whatever you want to call him. So I'm happy to go. I'd have to go edge, or I'd go Jamin Davis, but I'll leave it up to other people a bit.
Right. So I think we've all kind of agreed, right? Uliari there. We've all kind of. We're not. None of us agree that he's the 17th best player in the draft because we're at 25 and he's still on the board.
Yeah.
And we're still umming and ahhing. I think they take best player available, Jamin Davis, linebacker, because we know it's out of them 2 positions.
Yeah.
You've raised a good point about being a bit more 2-dimensional. And I think, Fraser, you've raised a good point that linebacker's the way they're going to go. I have it as the 5th need, but I'm happy to say Jamin Davis going to the Cleveland Browns at 26.
I'm happy with that, yeah.
Go on.
Ian?
Let's move on.
Ain't nobody need to talk about the Browns that much. Right, Baltimore.
Yeah, I think edge. I would go with that Away. I'll call him Jason.
Jason Away.
That's who I would think. That he's my top one available there.
So I've just Googled the guy from Georgia to give us some perspective, because I was going to say edge for the Baltimore Ravens. If you don't Google it, yeah. The biggest knock on him is that he's undersized. Apparently, he has very, very good pass rush ability, but he's a bit small, which obviously is a big issue in the NFL with big, powerful, strong tackles. So that's supposedly why he's a bit iffy and a bit slidey. He's only 249 pounds at 6'2", so he is not big at all.
He's also only had 5 sacks a season.
Yeah.
Which is tied 42nd. He's also...
What's his pressure rate like, though? Because if he's getting the pressure, because he's got the speed...
This that I'm reading from Pro Football Network is saying that he's more likely to be a day 2 pick now.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy to go with Jason Away from Penn State. I've seen more of him than I have of Osai from Texas.
Yeah, and they need an edge. Are you happy with that, Ken?
Yeah, that's
Jason Away. He's got that build, hasn't he? That the Ravens like. He fits the Ozzie Newsome kind of. I'm going to pick your tackle up and use him like a basketball kind of edge. So we're going Away?
Away?
Yeah.
Going Away.
We're moving on to the next pick. I agree. I think the guy from Texas is Texas, from Alabama, the DT, is a real possibility here.
Yeah, I think
there's also one other thing that I think the Saints need that they could potentially really throw the draft into a spiral on. I think the Saints could take Asante Samuel Jr. I think they need a corner, and I think he's the next best guy.
Is that not who his dad played for?
Yeah. He also played for the Eagles, Asante Samuel Jr.
Did he?
Yeah. They are in desperate need of a corner, and he's the next one on my board, and I think they could reach for him.
I think he would fit working alongside Lattimore a bit.
But I also agree with the DT thing being a huge need because they've lost Rankins and Henderson. So I'm more than happy to bow down and go, yes, you take the best player available and the need and take the DT.
I would say we'd go Barmore. I couldn't see with what they've lost on that line, the whole line. They've lost their edges, they've lost a defensive tackle. I just think that would
I'll be 2 seconds, boys, I'll be back.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that tackler will be the way. I mean, I have it as a secondary need. But actually, you've just lost Hendrickson. You've just lost Rankins. You're taking Barmore, aren't you? Kane, where are you at?
I think the same, especially if he falls that far as well.
He's a first round talent. This kid's legit. He's a great player. he's got a lot of. I know he's come from Bama, but he's got a lot of Quinnen in him. You know, he's very similar. I can't see the Saints saying no. You know,
I'm quite happy with that one. I can see it. You replace what you've just got rid of in free agency with a young rookie. He's from a decent team, so he's got decent knowledge. He's got everything you're missing.
And it's down south.
Well, that's a no-brainer, and we're doing it then, is it?
Yeah. We weren't even waiting for you. We were going to take it.
Good man.
Right, Green Bay are obviously going to take another quarterback because they don't have any.
Green Bay are only going one place, and Fraser's going to love me. They're going Landon Dickerson, centre, to replace Lindsay.
Ooh, I could see a wide receiver going here.
You can't let Aaron get killed again. You've got to give him a centre.
I think it will be centre, but it wouldn't shock me. And there's one person I think would be brilliant here, and they're going to copy someone very close to them. And I could see Terrence Marshall.
I like the pick. I like it. Well, no, sorry, I don't like the pick. I like the player.
I could just see it.
And I don't want Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball because it would be lethal.
I just can't see past Terrence Marshall.
The thing I would say is that as we've seen, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if he's on the floor.
Oh yeah,
I think you've arguably got the best quarterback in the league if you don't include Pat, or even possibly better than Pat. And I think you've got to keep him stood up. I think you give him the center.
See,
we've got one on the bench that we can replace him with.
I've got them taking a center in round 2.
I think it's too big a need to wait that long, personally.
Oh, guys.
There's a lot of good wide receivers, isn't there? That's the thing. And if you're like, we could. So let's throw this out there. That we're probably, if one of these centers drops, going to look at him at 34. So that's one of the best 2 gone straight away. So do you say they get them this guy? I honestly think you get him his guy.
I can't argue against Landon Dickerson because I've already put my point forward about how he's going to be in the first round and how he's going to go somewhere. So I could 100% see it. I still think he'll go before then, so they won't be in that situation.
Yeah.
And I still think it'll be Terrence Marshall, but I can see that because of our mock and the way it's worked, I could definitely see why Landon Dickerson's would be the pick here. And I'd be more than happy to put that down.
Well, I feel like you've just talked me into Dickerson for that exact thing of, in reality, we don't believe he's going to be there, but they need one, and he's there.
If he hadn't torn his ACL, you're talking about a centre that probably goes in the top 20 of the draft, which is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say no to him now when it's a need after what I said.
Well, yeah, I mean, given what we know about Dickerson, without that injury, he's got potential to be a Nick Mangold.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. A 10-year vet who's going to hold the line together.
And the other thing,
we know Green Bay, they've got their quarterback for the future. They're pretty set on that.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's the other thing. You're taking a centre here that's not only going to protect Aaron Rodgers for the next 2 years, is also going to form a long-term relationship with Love and protect him for the next 10. If he works out, which he should.
I think it's going to be Love Dickerson, and we all know Love Dixon.
Are you happy with that, Kane?
Yeah. Okay.
Kane's like, I'm already picking 34.
Yeah, Kane's only here for the Jets picks. He's not worried about anything else.
Right. Here we go.
I don't like this one.
Overrators.
Don't like this one.
Cornerback, I think.
I've got edge rusher as a need.
Yeah, I've got cornerback, edge, and wide receiver.
I think with the Georgia kid there, they take him.
Yeah.
If you look at what the Bills have done in the past with like rushers and defensive ends, Jerry Hughes is one of their best rushers ever, and he's undersized. So if they're happy to say we've got Jerry Hughes and he's brilliant, why wouldn't you add another undersized rusher?
Yeah, I think that's the pick. I think
they'll go.
They're taking the best at the need I don't think they're going to bother about size. I mean, let's face it, look at all their picks over the last few years. It's been the best person at that position that they know they can work with. I mean, none of us would have took Josh Allen. I mean,
the only other edge that I have got down as a potential, but I think he's a bit of a reach, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Fraser, or somebody else. Joe Tron or whatever it is, Tyron?
Yeah, I'd have, yeah.
I have Perkins.
Not in the first round, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Then that's that done. Georgia guy gone. That's fair. No worries. It's a good pick and best player available. It's a need, and it gives them someone to go with. Because
I'm just going to say, guys, I'm okay with that pick because he's undersized and he's going to be running at Quinnen twice, at Becton twice a year. Good luck, mate.
Just thinking about that, do they run a 4-3 or a 3-4? Because that we might have just given them an outside linebacker in a 4-3. Carry on, by the way. I'll find that out.
Yeah, you find that out, right? So Chiefs. I mean, they could go all over here.
Yeah, that's awkward. Those guys run a 4-3. Don't worry about it. We'll manage. That's why probably not that pick. Occasionally.
Can we not go back and take it out?
No, you can't go back and.
No. Let's say they believe he can put on a bit of weight and can be a good pass rusher, and he's too good to miss. Let's say that.
Right.
It won't hurt us in the long term. One pick being a bit iffy.
Yeah, true. Right.
So I've got them going O-line.
I think they have to, don't they? After losing
both
both tackles.
Which way they would go, but the two that I'm leaning at would be the first one, who I don't think it'll be, would be Wyatt Davis. I think they're going to go and they're going to take Creed Humphreys.
Yeah, I think Creed's the pick because he's got guard and center ability.
That's the thing. He can switch. I mean, you put Creed Humphreys if he goes center. You put him beside Funny. And that's
and he's going to be passing the ball up. Like Creed's got one of the most beautiful like handoffs to a quarterback.
Yeah,
from a center for a long time.
He's yeah.
They've just lost their two starting offensive tackles. Is there not a need to look offensive tackle here? Maybe?
No, but they just brought in Tooney, didn't they, to replace, and they moved the guard out to tackle. Is that not right?
Is the one guard? Go on.
They moved one of the guards to tackle, and then I think they're going with who's the right tackle. He played when there was an injury to. Is it Schwartz was injured?
Yeah,
it's called.
And their right guard played right tackle.
I can't remember his name.
Okay, that's fine then. If you think they've got tackle covered, do it. Go Creed Humphrey.
I just think if you are looking at go to tackles there, and who have we got left?
It's Leatherwood if you're going to go tackle, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, but Leatherwood's getting a lot of not bad press, but a lot of he's fell down quite a bit.
That's fine. Go Creed Humphrey then. Yes.
2-1.
2-1.
Who scored?
Cavani. Greenwood just put an immense ball in, and Cavani has just scored a diving header.
Right,
Sorry,
so
boys.
Anybody watching this later, obviously, Otis is multitasking.
I've just.
Where do you sit on this pick?
I think they need tackle and wide receiver.
I'll check now who the tackles are.
If you guys are right about them having transitioned the guard out to tackle and also taking the backup tackle to play right tackle, then I'm happy to go guard because that means they're in theory missing a guard, doesn't it? So I get the need. I'm happy to say I trust your judgment on it. Go guard.
Yeah, see, my one is like it's a reach for Wyatt Davies. Creed Humphreys plays guard and center. You're getting a twofer.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure.
I'm happy to go Creed Humphrey. I think he's
I've just googled what they've got, and the first thing that came up here when I was googling Chiefs is that the Chiefs are locked on favourites to acquire Orlando Brown in a trade. They're the favourites to get Orlando Brown.
Okay, go Creed Humphrey then. Let's do it.
Right.
It moves it on, and we're all happy with it.
Yeah.
Then the Tampa.
So I think this is a luxury pick, just purely based on the talent they have. They haven't bought back Antonio Brown, which to me leaves a gap at wide receiver. And I think they're going to go for Elijah Moore.
Even with Bateman on the ball still.
Yeah, they don't need an outside receiver. It's that inside fast guy. I think Moore is too tempting, personally.
I'm not going to lie. I've not got a clue what the Bucs are going to do.
They can do anything, can't they? Let's be honest. They don't need anything from that football team. It's all fine.
I think it'll be offense though, because they've brought every single player back that was starter for the Super Bowl has been brought back.
Yeah.
Apart from Brown.
I think.
Apart from Brown, yeah.
Yeah, apart from Brown.
Didn't start though, did he?
No, he wasn't. It was Evans and Godwin, wasn't it? That were your two.
Yeah, he also isn't classed as a starter, is he? 'Cause he plays in the slot.
So I think it'll be offense, and it could be anybody. I think it could be anybody really there.
What about Etienne?
They've got Jones and they bought back Fournette, and I think Jones is as good as Etienne.
I think Etienne's going to be like kind of a casualty of this draft because the running backs in the later teams all did good.
Yeah. I think if I was looking at wide receiver here, I'd probably choose Bateman out of any of them personally.
Isn't he an outside guy though, which is something they don't need?
Yeah. Well,
but how long does Mike have left?
Yeah.
And
they might not need him this year.
He's only 28, isn't he?
Is he? I thought he was like pushing 30.
Well, 28 is pushing 30, mate, but
no, but I mean like 29 going to be 30 or 30 going to be 31.
The other thing I would say about taking a guy that plays outside
27.
is they took Tyler Johnson, who's an absolute monster with amazing hands last draft.
I'm not so sure on receiver because I've just thought they've got another wide receiver.
Yeah,
we're all forgetting about Miller.
Yeah,
maybe not wide receiver then.
My need list is D-line, running back, edge, and wide receiver.
So had he have been there, I would have taken the Alabama defensive tackle here, and I think that's a genuine possibility that he falls there because the Saints may be going corner. Because I agree, I've got the same thing, mate. I've got defensive line as their biggest need in terms of interior, but there's just no one that good interior at the moment.
Who's their safeties?
The guy, Winfield Jr., isn't it?
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So I was just looking because
I don't have them needing a safety till third needs.
Yeah.
I've got interior defensive line, but I'm with Otis and just not sold on what's there.
What is there? Let's show us what's there.
Yeah, go to. Yeah, there's nothing.
You look at it and go, no, I'm not picking anything in the first round there.
The one I've got that I thought they might look at was OT to play right tackle. Because I think Riffs is going to move over to left, isn't he?
You could see tackle going. I know they've got Waffs, but who's their other one? Is it?
Leatherwood would be a nice pick here. It would be a very protect Brady and try and win another one pick.
I mean, they've got the luxury where they can take someone like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. So in the mock I did for our group draft, I had them taking a tackle.
Right. So let's give them best tackle available, and we'll move on because it's that pick that we can argue it all day. We can talk every single position into it because they're a luxury.
Yeah.
So we're putting Alex Leatherwood in at OT. Pick 32, and then we're back to the